All right, and welcome everybody to another exciting installment of the Terrorisk podcast. I'm with Ariel and Mochi, my cat. We're looking at drawings of cats while I'm holding a cat.
It's you. Not really. It looks like him.
Yeah, cats are interesting creatures.
Yeah, tell me about it.
They're supposedly mystical. I don't know how true that is, but cats are definitely strange critters.
I think they're mystical.
I think cats are weird because they have, well, the most obvious thing is they have lizard eyes, even though they're like mammals. And no other cats have that. You know, like lions, cheetahs, tigers, they all have like round human-like eyes. But, you know, house cats have these lizard eyes.
Yeah.
And there's actually a mythology. I think it was like ancient Egyptian mythology that talked about how basically to say it's interesting how dragons disappeared right around the time house cats showed up. And there's a myth that says that the soul of dragons ran away. Like apparently the last dragon came across like this prophet and basically told him, it's like, will you be willing to protect the last of my kind? And the guy was like, are you seriously the last dragon? I mean, you guys were just killing us like not even a few years ago. And the dragon was like, yes, we lost all of our power. I'm the last one of my kind. And our spirits are going to run away. And I need you to protect the spirit of my kin. And the guy was like, all right, fine. Take me to the spirit of your kin. And the dragon, the last dragon, took the guy to a cave, took it to a little nest, and inside were cats, kittens. And this is where the spirit of dragons ran away from. And it actually kind of makes sense because if you look at the behavior of cats, like they act like little fucking like psychos, you know, like
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true.
And when it comes to house cats, apparently like they're able to see things we can't, like spirits and stuff. But
I believe that.
in a biological, well, more biological context, you could say that, you know, the human eye can only see a specific amount of frames per second, right? Cats apparently could see just a little more. So in between the things that we can see, you know, to us it looks normal, just a steady flow of imagery, you know, just visual stimulus just going by, and we see things moving. Cats apparently could see things in between the movements of everything because they could see more frames per second, and that's where like the spirits live, or that's where like the metaphysical lives, like in between the perceptible frames.
I mean, you read so many stories like that on Reddit about cats staring into the darkness, seeing shit that humans don't see. I believe it could be spirits. I believe in that stuff. I mean, we talked about this. I'm kind of agnostic about my beliefs. I believe in the possibility of a lot of things.
Agnostics are just people waiting for proof of God, just like how bisexuals are just waiting to become gay.
That's not what is.
I know, I'm just joking.
Is this that game that the yeah man, the okay whatever game?
The totally game?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Totally. No, I mean I didn't make that up, by the way. It was a gay person that told me that. But of course, the way he said it, he said it all hush hush. Like he sounded like a neoliberal white guy saying the N-word. He's like, you know, you're not supposed to say, you're not supposed to say it, but bisexuals are just gays.
That's so fucking stupid, man. That's the most biphobic shit I ever heard.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's really trippy to think about. I feel like people forget how powerful sex can be.
Do people forget, or are they made to forget?
I guess both. I mean, I feel like nowadays, especially with hookup culture, people treat it almost like some kind of recreational sport.
You know what's funny?
I'm not saying this to judge people
No.
who want to engage in casual sex. Like, if they want to do it, that's cool. It's more just like, I feel like there's almost a weird opposite side to the whole sex positivity thing.
What's funny is like
I feel like people. Wait, I have a point I'm making with this, but did you want to?
No, I want to hear the point.
Yeah, I feel like people have, like, okay, people want to be sexually liberated, and that's great. I totally support it, But I think people also take it too far. Sometimes I think they take it to the point where they almost shame you in a weird way if you don't want to go and have casual hookups, and they act like there's something wrong with you. Like I've seen this happen. And my answer to that is I feel like sometimes these people forget just what a powerful act it is. I mean, it could result in creating a whole new life. It could result in destroying the world. What if you give birth to the next Hitler just because you fucked this one guy on a one night stand or something, you know? It's powerful shit. It's powerful energy. I feel like people forget this.
Yeah. What was the initial point that brought you to that, by the way? What was the first thing you said? Like, you noticed how, like, people take it for granted or something?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes people, they want to downplay the effect of it. They're like, oh yeah, I can have sex. I don't have feelings. Yeah, like bragging
Casual
about
sex.
it. Yeah, like bragging about it.
You know, it's funny because, like,
and-
every time I bring up this topic of conversation, everyone comes to the same point, like, comes to the same conclusion. But when I bring it up, they start at a different position. Like, for you for example, you started from the point of, like, how everyone kind of treats it so flippantly,
Yeah.
like they take it for granted, whereas other people would be like, it's so fucked up how they inject it into the most vulnerable places of media, like music. When people are at their most vulnerable and they inject hypersexuality into that. Or some people would, like, focus on the movies, or some people would focus on children and, like, what they're teaching kids. It's just interesting. But ultimately, like, no matter what doorway they go through, they end up ultimately at the same place, which is, like, we take it for granted, I guess, is the main point, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
especially with porn, that's
Yeah.
another big thing. Like,
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. It just sucks, and I feel like this is a broader problem in this day and age where I feel like people are kind of splitting off into such extremes. You can't say one thing without sounding like I'm sure there are people who are listening to me talk right now who are probably going to hear this and think that I'm hating on going out and being sexually liberated. They're going to think I'm some kind of conservative, but that's not true at all. I feel like I try to have a balanced look on it. I'm like, do what makes you happy, do what's healthy and good for you. But, it's not the same for everyone. That's all I'm saying, really.
You ever hear the term, they shall be known by their fruits?
Yeah, I think so.
So the idea is, as an example, like, four people could be trying to get to the same destination, but they could take four different paths. One person will get there first. So the idea is everyone could have their own ideas about sexuality. Some people could be purely Protestant about it. Some people could be purely, like, flippant and whatever, maybe even borderline satanic about it. Some people could be very predatory about it. Some people could be overly traumatized and damaged about it. But however the way they deal with it, no matter what, everyone who deals with it differently, they're gonna have a different range of like, results. Some people, by the way they deal with it, are just gonna end up better off. And yes, there's going to be exceptions. For example, one person could do the completely wrong thing and end up in the better place for it. But empiricism is ultimately going to show itself. And I think that's really what we're at, where we're at. The last 10 years was about everyone deciding what path they're going to choose with sexuality. But now we're at the point where it's like, all right, now let's see the results. Now let's see what you guys have to show for it. There's some of you who decided to just be complete and utter whores. There's some people that chose to be completely Protestant and prude. There's some people that chose to try to find a middle balance, whether or not they succeeded. And let's see who actually figured it out. Let's see who actually has positive results to show for it.
Yeah, I think the way I'm just like, look, just do what makes you happy.
No, see, that's
don't force.
No, that's what I'm saying.
People.
That's where we were in the last 10 years, and now we're seeing the result of that. Yeah, we all did what we felt made us happy, but some of us ended up getting really fucked for it, and in a really bad place for it.
No. But I think there are people who think that they're doing what makes them happy.
There is, because that's when you're saying there's an objective right thing to do, which goes against what you're saying.
No. I think I have a point to this. I think there's some people, and I'm not saying I'm the judge of this. I just mean, I think people, I think we can all sometimes be a little misguided because we think we know what makes us happy, but really it's just some idea
we've absorbed.
We have some idea we've absorbed from.
But who doesn't?
From the people around us, or from
who doesn't?
Maybe someone. That's what I'm saying. I think we all do this to some extent.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm not saying I know. That's not at all what I'm saying. But
I'm saying, regardless of whether or not, first of all, when it comes to ideas, which is interesting, you bring up ideas. I just want to say this first. None of us originate ideas. We don't really make ideas. Ideas are already existing. They're there. We just have to be in the right state to be able to, first of all, receive the idea, then actually manifest that idea. None of us are the originators of our ideas. As an artist, I know that's really fucked up to hear. I'm an artist,
No,
yeah.
not
But-
fucked up.
But
I think there's some truth to that.
for example, let's say you get a good idea, and then someone else gets the same idea at the same time as you, but they managed to manifest it first, and you could feel shitty about it. And you say that they stole my idea. No, they did not steal your idea. The idea just happened to find both of you, and they managed to be in a state where they could manifest it first. It's just the way it is. Or maybe they even discovered the idea after you, and they were still able to manifest it first and more effectively, and that could also happen. The point is, we do not make up the ideas. So that's one. Second, knowing that everyone's going to follow the ideas they choose, not the ideas they make, because nobody makes ideas. But when it comes to sexuality, everyone's going to follow the ideas they choose to follow. Now, knowing that no one is the originator of their ideas is really just a crapshoot now. The question is, like, the ideas do compete amongst themselves, and they use us as the proxies. Ideas are in competition with each other, not with us. Ideas don't give a fuck about us. Ideas just use us to compete with each other. But at the end of the day, one idea is going to be superior. When it all plays out in that little comparison game, which always happens, you can't stop that. You can't stop the comparison because all the ideas are trying to compete. So no matter what, like, you could say, like, yeah, everyone should just do what they feel is right, which I agree with, but you can't argue with the outcome of that. The outcome of that is most people are going to fuck up, and very few people are going to come out ahead because everyone had the freedom to explore their own ideas and their own ideals. Great. I agree with that. But there will be fucking losers in that game, and that's something that has to be accepted about that.
Well, yeah, you're right. I think that the whole point I was trying to make, though, is I don't like to judge and say, oh, yes, I think everyone should do this and that because I say so.
I'm not saying
That's
that
all I
either,
meant.
but I'm saying
I know you're not. I know you're not.
What I'm saying is you don't
Yeah.
have to. That's going to show itself regardless. It happens in nature all the time. That's what
Yeah.
evolution is.
Well, yeah, of course.
See, you say we shouldn't judge about and try to like hold up one ideas over the other. I'm saying you don't even have to think about that because that's going to happen whether you want it to or not. That's just going to play out in itself.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Either way.
But either way,
Yeah.
you're saying everyone should just do what they. I'm saying you should be more thoughtful than that.
Yeah. Either way, all I'm saying is just, I'm not.
See, and I think what you're saying is like it's better. Your advice is kind of the crystallization of the idea of learn from your mistakes. What's wrong with that, right? What's wrong with
Yeah,
learn?
exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But my crystallization is learn from other people's mistakes and not just your own.
I think, yeah, I think sometimes the only way you're going to learn is from your own mistakes. And, it's interesting.
No, that's not true. I
Wait,
think you
wait,
could always
I have a
learn from.
point.
I'm saying you said you could only learn from your own
Did I
mistakes.
say that?
Yeah, you said sometimes you could only learn from your mistakes, and I say no, you could always learn from other people's mistakes as well.
Right, okay, no, but so I have a point to this. That my point is, maybe I phrased it poorly, but what I'm saying is, I mean, I've been in situations before, for example, where, I have friends who do stuff and I have some opinion on what they're doing, and I'm like, I don't know, but also I just have the feeling that me being all paternalistic and lecturing them on what to do isn't going to help anything, and I feel like the best thing is to just let the outcome play out, because I think as long as I don't think they're in super real danger of, I don't know, harming themselves or threatening their lives, usually my MO is to back off and like, hey, you're an adult and, whatever. They'll eventually figure it out. They'll find their way. I think I'm anti-paternalistic is what I'm saying.
You're anti-paternalistic?
Yeah.
So because you're anti-paternalistic, you'll just you'll let people. Yeah. I know. I'm more or less the same way.
Also, because I know that I've experienced the opposite before, where I was going through a life situation, and I stumbled and fell and learned things the hard way, and I was kind of grateful that my friends didn't intervene until, hey, you're fucking up. I was glad that they let me figure it out on my own, because sometimes I really do think that is, I disagree. Sometimes I think that is the only way you're going to learn, is if you figure it out on your own and not from listening to other people.
Well, I guess like
sometimes
in my case, in those kinds of situations, is if I disagree with the way someone is doing something, and we're both generally doing the same thing, such as living life, if I disagree with them, I'm more than likely going to do the exact opposite of them. Now, if I get better results than them, then I'll tell them, it's like, hey, listen, we disagreed about how we're going to handle the situation. We handled it in completely different ways. I got way better results than you, buddy. So you're going to have to admit you were fucking wrong. Because, and you're only wrong. And to me, do you know when I deem a person is wrong? When they can't stop fucking complaining about something. There's no argument there. You're fucking wrong. If you're in a position where you're bitching about it, you're in the wrong, buddy. You fucked up. You fucked up because you're an adult. If you're over the age of fucking 25 and you're sitting here complaining about something in your life, that's on you. That's 100% on you. I don't give a fuck who you are. Maybe if you were 24, 23, 14, 15, yeah, you'd have some fucking excuses. You could blame youthful negligence, but you don't have that fucking excuse anymore. So at this point, it's like now if we disagree on something, if I disagree with the way, I could take the same approach as you, which is the non-paternalistic side, but I'm still going to do the exact opposite of you, and I'm still going to showcase my results. And the problem is, like, with your example, it's like, yeah, I agree with it, but you also have to consider the fact that if you disagree with them, you're going to do differently than them. And if you get better results, they might hold that against you. So this is how I cover my ass. I'm saying, hey, I fucking told you so. At least no friend or loved one can ever resent you for that, because you did, in fact, tell them so. And you followed through. You know what that leads to? That leads to respect. The people who once disagree with you now respect you because they realize they were fucking wrong. And you were right. And they may not say it out loud, but again, they will be known by their fruits. Like the results speak for themselves. So yeah, I agree with you. Take a non-paternalistic approach, but at the same time, when you take that, don't fucking bitch about the results, for the losers.
Yeah,
don't, and you're allowed to wear that, and you're allowed to put that in their face. And you have to, otherwise they'll never learn. You have to shove their face in it. Otherwise, they'll never fucking learn. They'll just constantly make excuses. Even worse, they'll whittle down your accomplishments. Like, oh, well, yeah, you did beat me that time, but you got lucky and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, well, yeah, but, now that, what about this now? It's like you have to take your wins when you get them. Otherwise, the wins are going to take you.
Well, yeah, sure. I guess there's some truth to all of that. But yeah, I guess yeah, no, I mean, I guess all I'm getting at really is just, I don't know. I guess I'm pretty liberal about stuff, and
I mean,
I don't like telling people what to do.
No. I guess
that's my only point, really.
One place where I see it is in like martial arts, right? Because everyone who approaches training has like their own ideas about training, and no matter who you are, like we could all do as we're told by our teacher, but still, there's still a part of us that's going to do certain things our own way. And the beauty is we get opportunities to test our ways against each other through fighting, sparring, dueling. Nothing beats, like you may think you're the best. You may think you have the right idea about this thing. You may think you solved something that hundreds of years of guys weren't able to figure out. And then you say you think you got it, and then you get beat. That's really instructive, right? But then at the same time, you think you're really bad. And you're trying so hard, you're working really hard, you're training, you're being super receptive, you're trying to soak up all the information you can because you think you suck. And then you fight some guy who is perceived as really good, and you scrub the floor, you scrub the floor with him. That's the opposite end of that spectrum. So it's really like, again, this just goes back to like results speak for themselves. And like, certain things like are so subjective where it's like you could argue and debate endlessly about what's subjective, like art, for example, or music. But martial arts, I'm glad, is one of those things where it's like, no, buddy, you lost. Like you're dead. Like, you fucking died. So it's like there's no arguing.
Yeah.
It's pretty final, So when you carry that, when you understand that part of life, and you bring that into business or art or relationships or whatever, you get a much better basis of what could truly be at stake than people who don't have that,
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up music and art because I was just thinking about this. Actually, I had I feel like art and music is sort of an interesting. It's an interesting case because I feel like creativity. It's a really interesting balance of creativity and structure. Oh, so cute. I love him. Yeah, I had a piano lesson today with my dad, And my dad is a really, really good piano teacher. He's been doing this for decades, and he's a jazz piano teacher and a professional jazz pianist, but he plays really good classical too, and he also teaches classical. And he was telling me how his students often they'll come to him from classical music and they'll seek him out as kind of like a refuge from all the stodginess of the classical world because jazz is just more experimental. That's kind of how jazz emerged. It
Like
emerged as a
podcasting.
rebellion. Yeah, and I think shit like that is really it's interesting. I feel like art, I feel like good art has to be sort of a balance of structure and respect for the traditions, but then also striking out and being wild and breaking free. I think you need both if you're going to make art. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think with classical music, I think a lot of people, a lot of teachers in music schools really misinterpret what classical is all about. They get very stodgy about it and really obsessive about tradition, but they forget what the spirit of I mean, the whole reason why a lot of classical music took off in the first place is because these guys were bringing something new to the table. Beethoven is remembered because he completely overturned everything that was going on in classical music. If you listen to the Eroica Symphony number 3, I mean, there was nothing like that before then. It was fucking groundbreaking. People didn't know how to react to it. They called it a mad fantasy. If you listen to his Symphony number 9, the second movement in that symphony is a scherzo. It's like a kind of fast-paced movement, and traditionally that was always the third movement, but he flipped the second and third movement around. Anyway, the point is, a lot of classical music is remembered because it overturned traditions, and so it's fucking weird to me how people they're like, oh, respect it, respect it, respect it. They get so obsessed with the past, they forget that the breath of change is what made it memorable in the first place.
So here's what I would say about well, music in general. I mean, what I would say about that is that I mean, I was forced to do music and karate when I was a little kid. So like
Whoa.
so martial arts and music was like kind of just extracurriculars, but subconsciously they were synthesized, whether I knew it or not. Now, here's the way I would, if I could spend all day talking about how martial arts is like music, but now I'll talk about how music is like martial arts. Now, I would look at like the act of playing music for someone, showing your music to someone, introducing your music to someone, performing your music to someone. That's an act. It's like a fight. You're trying to beat them. Now here's the. It's not in a fight. It's like you're trying to beat someone down until they're a bloody mess. But in a music fight, it's more like you're trying to play music to them, and the fight is won when they submit their emotions, when they let down their emotional guard enough for the music to touch their soul, touch their heart, and for them to say, "I like this, I love this, I want to listen to this again. This makes me feel good." That's the fight. It's just like winning a duel. Like for you to be like, "I have no choice, I lose, I submit." You won. You have a better technique. You have a better understanding of the sword art. You have a better understanding of music to show me something that I can't rationalize. Right? That's music. So when you look at it that way, it's like the same thing. I mean, it's the results that speak for themselves. Is do people like it? Now, when you look at it that way, it's significant. You think it's a simple change in perspective, but it's not. Because when you look at it it's like the same with martial arts. If people are all about, you got to respect it, you got to respect it, you got to respect the art, you got to keep in the doctrine, you got to keep with the principles. All right, well, if you want to keep with the principles, the classical principles of swordsmanship, what happens if someone takes out a Glock? No, then swordsmanship has to evolve if it's going to fit, if it's going to stay, or otherwise it's going to die. Music is no different. Like, you could stick with the genre, and you see the same thing with swordsmanship. You see plenty of classical swordsmanship teachers just they don't care about the practical use of swordsmanship. Why would they? Because we don't live in the age of swords anymore. Just as we don't really live in the age of purely analog music anymore. Sad but true. In both cases. But it's the same argument applies. In both cases, it's like you have teachers that are just concerned about preserving, all about preservation. But through that pure single-minded focus on preservation of doctrine and dogma, they lose out on the practicality and the underlying the practicality of the underlying principle of what they're actually trying to like preserve. Like swordsmanship. Yes, you may care about Yagyu Shinkaguryu from the 1400s so hard that you just want to stick to the dodge and do exactly as they did in the 1400s, but that's going to be fucking useless in the 1600s of a era of samurai, or the 1800s, or the 1900s, or the modern day. Like certain things are just not going to be as applicable. But the real key no matter what, whether you care about that shit or not. The real point of swordsmanship is to kill the fucking guy, is to win, is to be able to, no matter whether you throw sand in his eye, whip out a Glock, it's to fucking kill the fucking guy. Same thing with music. No matter what doctrine you use, no matter how faithfully you adapt, you know, the style that you want to adopt, like, the same thing. Your job is still the same: to kill the fucking guy, entertain the fucking person, make them fucking feel something. You know, if you happen to be the best kung fu guy, who would be better with kung fu than MMA, then fucking be the kung fu guy. But if you know that you'd be better with MMA to fuck people up, then go with MMA over kung fu. You know, like, one's more classical and one's more contemporary, but you know, they both ultimately, if you doing it right, they have the same goal, which is to fucking kill the guy. Same thing with music, whether you're a jazz musician or a fucking EDM MIDI fighter guy, like, the goal is the same: kill the fucking guy. You know, like, fuck them up.
Totally.
Fuck them up, fam. You know.
No, yeah, word. No, I think.
Can I get that?
The scotch? Yeah. No, I think. Yeah, you. That's. I think you're totally right. I mean, that's a good point. I think people sometimes just miss the point of what they're doing. I think they get obsessed with details that don't really matter. I think at the end.
And this
of the
goes
day,
back to the identity thing. You know, it's like, oh, this
Yeah.
is my identity. It's like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Our audience might not know what you're referring to with the identity thing.
What were we talking about before?
Yeah, you're talking about the generalist versus specialist thing.
Yeah. How, like, when you want to be the specialist because that's a part of your identity now. You know, it's actually fucked up. This doesn't just apply to art or martial arts. This also applies to your sexual orientation, your gender, your political leanings, your cultural background, everything, your ethnicity. Like, it's serious shit. You could view yourself as, I could view myself as a Korean, but no, I choose to view myself as a American. Technically, I'm a Korean American, but I could view myself as a strictly Korean-blooded male, and that's going to turn me into a fucking shithead. Your perspective in these things matter, you know.
Yeah,
no, because I
it
view
does.
myself as an American, I could relate to whoever the fuck I want, you know, because
Yeah,
I don't
you're a New Yorker.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
So that being said, it's like, this is what I'm saying. It's like, just being a generalist or specialist isn't just about how far it could take you in life. It's got moral implications, you know, like.
Yeah, it's interesting bringing up the whole generalist versus specialist thing in the context of
Shout out to Dan
broader
Coe.
identity. But who?
Dan Coe was the one who introduced me to the idea of generalist versus specialist. But what were you saying?
Oh yeah. It's interesting you bring it up in the broader context of identity in general. Because I always tell people, yeah, whatever, Jewish, female, Middle Eastern, white, New Yorker, American, like whatever. I don't give a fuck. I really just care. I mean, I think being an artist is the most important part of my identity. And yeah, I'm clinging on to it. Yeah, I will fight
that's interesting.
people to the death on
Yo,
this.
I have that too. But you know what my important root identity is?
What?
On the soul level, I think we're all the same soul living out.
Oh yeah, going back to that idea. Yeah.
I mean, I think, yeah, it's not. I don't think it's going back. I think it's more like going more in. Like, there's like layers, you know. On the most outer layer, it's, yeah, I'm Asian, and the inner layer, it's I'm Korean. On the more inner layer, it's I'm Korean American. On the more inner layer, it's fucking American. But
America.
And then it's like I'm a man. Then before that, it's like I'm just a boy. Then before that, it's like I'm just a child. And then before that, then
Russian doll identities.
beneath that, I'm just a human. But on the deepest one, it's I'm just this. We're all just like, when you go to the smallest Russian doll, everyone's the same small Russian doll. We
I
just have
love
different
that.
layers, you know.
I love that, man. Maybe Trump should hire you to do DEI.
But no, I'm the opposite of DEI. I'm like,
That's what I'm
there
saying.
is no diversity.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe instead of banning DEI, he should just hire you. No, because I mean, I think the whole DEI thing is really fucking flawed in so many ways. I don't think it actually, and yeah, I'm saying this publicly, and I don't care if I get canceled for it.
No one's gonna cancel you for
that. Yeah, we're under Trump now.
I don't think either.
No, but
I don't think either of us have truly cancelable opinions.
Yeah, because honestly, the truth is, I
Cancelable.
fucking hate DEI. I don't think it brings people together. I don't think it makes anybody. I don't think it improves race relations at all. I think it just makes us all scared of each other, and that's the truth. But yeah, so that's why I was joking. Like, maybe imagine if Trump hired you instead of doing this DEI ban thing. But whatever.
Who did the DEI banning that Trump hired?
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly I
No,
try
I
to
don't know
avoid
either.
the news.
I don't know either.
I just hear things.
I thought you
I'm
knew.
not an
I
expert.
know. I thought you knew. That's why I asked.
No, I don't know shit. I really don't know anything.
I'm also
No.
ignorant to politics, to be honest.
Nah, it's a good thing. It poisons your mind.
Oh, come on.
Fuck politics.
I mean, I know I say that, but when another person says the same thing that I say to me, I'm inclined to disagree with it. Maybe it's a
fucking
disease.
contrarian.
Yeah.
It's called being a contrarian, argumentative nerd guy.
Yeah, probably that's what it is.
That's
Totally.
every nerd guy I hang out with is like this.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway,
See, it's a fun game.
oh my god! You know, I'm not gonna lie. Half the shit you're talking about now, I'm wondering in the back of my head. I know you're the podcast host and all, but in my head, I'm like, do his followers and his viewers even know what he's talking about right now?
I don't have that many followers. I'm actually. This is a really small. As far as YouTube goes, it's a small YouTube channel. But I'd say I have some pretty powerful friends.
Yeah.
Not like dangerously powerful, but just like relatively. You know, like it's not that they have influence. They just get shit done. You know, I have friends who get shit done. Like my boss, he's a guy. He's a powerful guy, but he's not famous. He's rich, but he just gets shit done. That's why he's rich. I'm not. I mean, he got to meet Donald Trump, my boss.
Oh whoa.
Yeah.
Shit.
Actually, you know what? A lot of people I knew met Donald Trump, but that's just because
wow.
no, but that's because we're New Yorkers. New Yorkers.
Oh, okay. There you go.
New Yorkers have that privilege of like having met Donald Trump. I think more New Yorkers met Donald Trump than Maury Povich.
Yeah, I could see that.
I met both, but I
No,
don't
that
care
makes
about either.
sense.
Well, you know who I really want to meet?
Who do you want to meet?
Jerry Springer.
Is that the number one person you want to meet?
No, the number one person I want to meet right now is probably this guy Frank Yang.
Oh, who's that?
He's just this YouTuber guy, but it's just I mean, maybe tomorrow I'll want to meet someone completely different, but right now I want to meet Frank Yang.
Yeah, but what's his thing? What does he do?
He's like this. He was this Chinese nerd, like like stereotypical Chinese nerd. Played violin, studied really hard, all that shit. But then like after he graduated college, he was a virgin and he just snapped. And then he became like a sick bodybuilder and he became ripped and he became like this meathead fucking asshole. And he fucked a lot of women. He was like fucking like hundreds of but then
Yeah, good for him.
But then that didn't satisfy him. So he started going to like meditation retreats.
Whoa.
And then he became enlightened. And like the content
God.
and the content he makes now is beautiful. Like he met his like twin flame soulmate. It's amazing. Like he's like a great
Wow.
creator. And it's not that he didn't teach me anything. What he did do, he confirmed a lot of things that I kind of stumbled into. And then someone was like, you should look into Frank Yang. And I looked into Frank Yang. I was like, yeah, he gets it.
Yeah, honestly, this totally sounds exactly like the kind of guy I would expect you to look up.
He's
to,
like he's more,
or-
but he's older than me, sure. But it's like I resonate with his experience. You know, I may not be
can see.
Chinese, but like I get it. I
being
get.
an Asian dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I will say this though, like he's smarter than me. You know, he's definitely way more intelligent than I am. Like I'll admit it. Like but I don't know. Maybe that's just because he has more life experience being older. Not that much older, but he's a little older.
Yeah. No, he sounds like a really fascinating guy.
He is.
I don't blame you.
Shout out to Frank Yang. I hope you see
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Someday.
yeah. Man. Yeah, no, it's cool meeting people or anytime, you know, hearing about people who just follow their own life path.
Let's call it what it is. Mentors. Like it's good to have mentors in life.
Oh, I mean, that's not what I was gonna say, but yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't consider
I
Frank
mean-
Yang a mentor, like, but that's what we're talking about, really, like guides.
I was leaning more towards free thinkers.
Oh, like inspirations.
people who just, you know, they really look inside themselves and they don't just listen to what everyone's telling them to do, and they, you know, they kind of try to follow their own eclectic
Yeah,
path.
but like the idea of looking and truly looking inside yourself is we can't truly look inside ourselves until we get to a certain point after we've lived not looking into ourselves, you know?
Wait, say that again. You can't look into yourself until you've lived a period of your life not looking inside yourself.
Yes.
Wait, You mean because the way you get there is by living your life, and then eventually you realize that what you're doing just isn't working
Yes.
anymore?
Yes, that's true
Yeah.
completion. That's true. That's the true path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can't
Definitely.
be
I think
born just
so.
knowing the path. That's not how life
It's
works.
not. Yeah. No.
So
No.
the idea is once you do reach that point where you finally start looking into yourself, you realize other people have looked into themselves, have reached that point before you, well before you. So you look to them, and it's like, I finally understand what you were saying. When I was more ignorant, I didn't get it, but now I hear what you're saying, and now I understand it. And then like, I think that's where like the idea of mentorship comes in.
Yeah.
At least I'm thinking about it in martial arts terms.
Oh yeah, like having a sensei.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mentorship. Yeah, it's that honestly, you're really speaking to a deep desire of mine that I've had for a long time. I've been trying for I'm a comic artist, and I finally finished my first zine this year. I actually just fucking published it and made a bunch of copies, and I'm gonna be distributing it really soon. But it took a lot of trial and error to get to that point. I spent many years stumbling and figuring shit out. I spent many years trying to write a graphic novel and giving up and failing. And then finally, I just ended up doing something small. And the point is, I wish this entire time, and I still wish that I had
A
a
teacher.
comic artist mentor who could show me the way. I feel like I learn on my own and also by reading about what other comic artists I've done. I look up the comic artists who I admire. I go watch them at talks and at panels. Like I went to the New Yorker Festival to watch one of my favorite graphic novelist, Adrian Tomine, on a panel with Francoise Mouly, the art director of the New Yorker, and Cerula Bao, who's another comic artist who's really good. I just went and watched them on a panel, and I learned so much just from that panel, just from hearing the three of them talk about how they got their start and what they did. And so I mean that's what I've been doing. I just try to get bits and pieces from interviews and from talks and from emails, but I wish I had a real fucking mentor. That would be amazing.
So you want to hear my thoughts on that?
Yeah.
All right, this is going to be a little winded, but I'm going to say this.
Say it, yeah.
This goes back to what I said before in the car. I was like, once you find the way in one thing, you find the way in all things. Now, what I mean is, honestly, if you're going to break that down to this context or apply it to this context, I would say all you need in life is one good teacher. You What I mean by that is you really just need like one teacher to show you the way to mastery in one thing. Because once you reach mastery in one thing, you understand the process of getting to mastery. Because hindsight is 2020. You don't understand the road to mastery until you reach mastery in one thing, and then you look back in your path and you're like, oh, this, and this could be applied to if I wanted to learn literally anything. And that's just the truth. A master of one becomes the master of all, truly. The only thing is, like, if you're a master of one, you're probably not going to care about mastering other things because you just know in the back of your head you can master whatever the fuck you want. But the honest to God truth is, if you find one good teacher in one thing you care about and you follow that through, you stick with that master, you keep practicing it because again, they will be known by their fruits. A master of his craft will show his mastery. He can't help himself, or she can't help himself. You follow that master, you reach mastery, whether it's writing, cooking, carpentry, martial arts, whatever the fuck. You reach mastery. And in fact, it's not even, you don't even have to reach. It's like as you get better at that one thing with the proper teacher, you pursue other things and you realize it's so much easier to learn those things because you understand not just how to you don't just learn how to do that one thing, you learn how to learn to do that one thing. So you don't just understand like that one thing, you understand the framework to get if you're smart. That is, I don't know, maybe that I shouldn't say that actually, but if you're listening to what I'm saying, you're at least smart enough to follow through with that. It's like it's basically like you learn how to learn, and again, it just goes back to Miyamoto Musashi. If once you master the way in one thing, you master the way in all things, truly. Because the idea is you learned how to learn. Once you learn how to learn, you're unstoppable.
Yeah, yeah. I can see how there's some truth to that. I mean, Yeah, I mean, every discipline has its own
Now,
particularities.
yeah, the thing is about
But
martial arts is it's a mastery accelerationist field, because with martial arts there's no choice but to bring up the masters really fast, because like we spar, we fight with each other. That's the only way to express martial arts, is to fight someone, right? So like mastery is very easily pointed out. It's like, oh, he won. Yeah, that guy's the master. It's like, because he keeps winning. But when it comes to art, when it comes to certain fields, it's not exactly that obvious. Medicine is a good one, because like it's like the same thing as martial arts, except instead of taking lives, like that guy saved this life, this life, this life, this life, this life. Same thing. It's just the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like, the results speak for themselves. This guy is a true doctor. He saved many, many lives. With art, it's a little less obvious. It's like,
the attaining mastery
yeah,
of
it's more
art.
subjective.
Yeah, it's a little more esoteric for sure.
Well,
For
it's
sure.
more divided in its intention. It's like, all right, he's a master of music, but what kind of music? Like,
It's interesting because so I'm on kind of an interesting life path with my creativity and my professional life because well, you know this, but I don't know if your viewers know. So I have sort of a dual career thing going on. I mean, I'm a UI designer, visual and graphic designer, and then also an illustrator and an artist. And my full-time job has been UI UX design for many years, and I've always done art for myself. And this year I'm getting much more serious about freelancing and trying to monetize my work, trying to turn the art and illustration
keep
into a
talking. I'm gonna get
career.
some ice.
Yeah. And may I have some ice too?
Yeah, I was gonna get it for
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So. Oh, okay. So I've been feeling lately kind of like I want to try and really get serious, a lot more serious about art and illustration than I did in previous years. And I think there are many things that led me to this, but one of the things that I realized, I feel kind of like art and illustration, it's kind of a more esoteric skill in a way. I feel like UI UX design, I think it can be learned by, thank you. I think it can be learned by virtually anyone. And I think the metrics for success as a UI UX designer are a lot more tangible. It's like, okay, you just have to learn these principles of human centered design and you just have to follow them. And if you follow them, then you will get more returns, you'll get more conversions, you'll get more business done. But I feel like with illustration and art, it's just much more. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if this happens to you, but I fell into this trap for a long time of, because nothing comes to me more easily than drawing. Literally nothing. I can do that shit in my sleep. And for a long time, I kind of made the mistake of thinking, oh, like, it's so easy. It's no big deal. Like, who cares? It's not that impressive. But just because it comes easily to me doesn't mean it's not impressive. And I think it's just I've really been trying to take it for granted less. I've been trying to embrace it more, and I think it's a really I think if you have a skill that's that esoteric and comes from such an intangible place, I think it really comes from your soul, and that's what made me really determined more than ever to make this the main thing in my life.
Well, I feel the same way about music, and it's fun.
For sure, me too.
It's funny because with music, because I'm way more into music than I would say swordsmanship. Even it's
I
just
love music.
swordsmanship changed me more than music did, but I care about music more. And the thing about I care about making music, not listening to music. I care about making music. And now the thing about making music is that it's very natural to me. It's like it wasn't always this way. Like playing music was semi-natural because I was forced into piano lessons, but like I was just playing and reading music and learning the fundamentals. But making music was like a different experience. But once I started making it, um, like when I put a lot of like heart and soul into it's what I'm the point I'm trying to make is about framing. But when I cared about making music, it was like I put all my heart and soul into like actual tracks, and then I'll be like, great, this is good enough. This is better, a little better, and it just wasn't satisfying, because like I was putting so much effort into making like a good production, like out of just like the DAW and just making it as I listened to it, as I idealized what I listened to in my ears. But it wasn't until no one gave a shit, by the way, when I would make like objectively better polished tracks. Now, people started paying more attention when I made objectively looser, sloppier, not as tight, production wise, engineering wise, but I had a video element where I was like actually playing this stuff. Like I had like instead of just like sitting behind DAW compiling everything into a file and presenting that to people, there was a video of me actually doing like a live component, like actually playing, the drums on one hand, chord on another, and I'll produce on top of it, like add a layer, like layer over track, because it was all played in time. Like I would do it with a temp, like a metronome, so I was able to produce over it very easily because I always played in key and all that. And that's when people started to give more of a shit, which is interesting to me because, like,
Yes.
mathematically, the stuff that you guys didn't want to look at sounded better. But because you saw a component of me actually putting my body into it, putting myself into it, and playing, and I wasn't even playing instruments. I was literally just pushing buttons in time. I mean, I pushed those buttons damn good, mind you, but that's all it was. I wasn't. Because here's the deal, like when it comes to music production, like that's not the first thing I did with music. The first thing I did with music was when I was like 15, 16, 17, growing up in Staten Island. What do you think Staten Island teenagers do? They just join punk
Fuck
band.
around in their garages.
Yeah, yeah,
Because they actually have garages.
yeah, and they could have drum kits, and we jammed, and that's all
That's
we
so
did.
fucking cool.
But that's
You're kind
how.
of making me. I never thought I'd say this, but you're making me a little jealous. I didn't grow up in Staten Island.
But just for music's sake, and like
Yeah.
as for music, like yeah, that's how I truly learned to play, and I took that for granted. I didn't know how valuable that experience was until like I started becoming a music producer and getting into electronic music, and then I would like try to collaborate with other producers and other DJs, and I realized like you guys don't know how to play. Like you guys don't know how to jam. Like if I put a guitar in your hand and I had a guitar, like you do not know how to just like loop a chord progression and let me jam over it, or vice versa. Like you don't know how to do that. And that was that was like an eye-opening moment to me for music. That's what prompted me to do like the live, because I realized like half of these like famous producers probably don't even know how to fucking play an instrument. And that was like a shocking, because I knew the systems really easily, and I could produce the fuck out of a track. I could probably produce like mainstream pop level because there's not much to it, let's be honest. I'm not saying that's impressive. I'm just saying like I at least know enough to be able to like make something crispy, but like to think like the guys that make crispy things don't know how to even like jam. I'm like, damn, that's fucked up. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, music production, and sound engineering, they're their own art in and of themselves, for real.
I think you can't disconnect that though, like that. Like you can't just like call yourself a music producer, not at least know how to jam on an instrument and play an ensemble with. Like if I put you on a piano and I had a guitar, I could at least tell you. It's like, can you play like C, D,
Yeah.
A minor,
Yeah, sure.
F major? Yeah, could you at least do that? And then I could jam with you on that. Like I could play that with you. But to think you call yourself a music producer and you can't even do that, like that's a joke.
Well, so I don't know. Right now, I'm mentally scrolling through all the list of music producers who I admire, and wondering, like George Martin, did he know how to play piano? Or
Well, it's okay to start off that way. Everyone has to start somewhere. But I'm saying like,
I mean, I respect it. I get what you're saying, but no matter what, if you're a good producer, sound engineer, I respect it. Sometimes you just have a different gift. It's
you
kind
know
of
what?
like,
How
what it makes me think of. It's kind of like. I feel like in rock and roll, for instance. So, as a teenager, I was obsessed with classic rock. I still love classic rock, and a huge part of it for me, I loved the story of classic rock, not even just the music. I mean, obviously, it all is because of the music, but at the end of the day, it all goes back to the music. But I felt kind of like everyone in the whole scene had their own special role. The musicians, the producers, the engineers, and hell, even the groupies, they have their own part in all of this. They're also an important part of the story.
nah,
So,
there's a
so I
food
think
there's a
everybody
hierarchy.
has. I think everybody has their. I think you just want to argue with me. I think you just feel like being contrarian.
No, that was just that one time. But there
Oh,
is
okay.
no,
All right.
there is an obvious hierarchy with the music scenes.
Oh yeah. Look. So I'm not trying to get into who's more important than whom. I just mean
All right,
everyone has their part.
just to correct you, I'm not contrarian. I'm just very cynical.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? I'm a cynical optimist.
I can see that. Yeah, you don't say that many doomer things. I've noticed.
No, I'm just very cynical
You actually you say a lot of uplifting things. I've
because
noticed this about you.
I'm a cynical optimist.
Honestly, you know what? Thank God, because I can't fucking stand all the doomer bullshit.
No, I'm
it's
not a
toxic.
doomer.
I try to avoid it.
I believe in the light. I believe in the good. I believe in the
I can see
positive.
that you do, and I
I
like
do.
that. That's why I like you. I like that about
I
you.
mean, I like playing in the mud. I like playing in the
Yeah.
dark. I like playing in the evil.
Well, that's why I like you, because you have all that shit going on about you.
But I'm just saying, like that's all just play. Like when it comes down to it, like you can't escape the light. Like that has
It's
to
there, yeah.
that has
it
to
is
win at the end of
there.
the day. The good has to win at the end of the day. You know, because
Yeah, I don't think the world is ending.
I mean, it's not even a joke. Like there's like people that think that they think they're about the light, but they actually are about the mud. And there's people that think they're bad, but they're actually about good. And it's
Yeah.
just it's fucked up because like it's bad either way, right? Like when you're a bad person and you think you're good, is just as bad as when you're a good person who thinks you're bad. Either
Yeah.
way, you do damage. You
No,
know.
I agree. I agree. But to get back to the whole point. So, yeah, I mean sure there's a hierarchy, but that's not even what I wasn't saying there isn't. I just mean everyone has their role that they play in all this. You know, actually the whole groupie thing in classic rock, it really interests like the groupies and the wives and the muses and the lovers. It really fascinates me on some level because they weren't musicians, but I feel like the whole scene and the music wouldn't even exist if they
I think
weren't
it's very
around
contrived.
either.
I think because you think about what music was before all that. Music used to be a divine, holy thing. Music used to be something that you only discovered once you discovered God. You know, because think about the earliest known music; it was all religious, like with all the hymns and all the Gregorian chants, and even with the Jews, like you know, a lot of the Jews,
Kabbalistic music.
yeah, a lot of the Jews' wisdom was transmitted through music.
Yeah, Jews and music. It's a deep relationship for sure.
Well, we can't say that lightly because the Jewish religion is like the oldest fucking Abrahamic religion. You know, like
We have a lot of songs,
yeah.
a lot of music.
If
Yeah.
anything, we would not have Western music without the Jewish, like a religion. Basically, all music ties its roots to religion as we know it.
You know, this whole conversation is taking me back to my first acid trip. Because I don't know about you, but with me, every single acid trip seems to have some kind of theme that emerges from it. And one of the themes of this trip was the sacred versus the profane. It just kept coming up over and over and over again with my friends and me in that trip. So this is kind of making me think of that now because I feel like the two, you know, they stand in opposition to each other, but in a way they're kind of like two sides of the same coin.
Well, I guess the idea
I feel like they're always intertwining somehow.
well, I guess the idea is to that. Like, if I were in that trip and I came out of the trip and they were like, "What'd you learn from the trip?" and I would say, anywhere you could find the sacred, you could find the profane, and anywhere you could find the profane, you could find the sacred.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yin and yang and all that shit. So yeah, you know, I mean, music. Yeah, it's got the divinity. It's also got the profanity. I fucking love it. I think it's beautiful. I say bring it all on.
You know what that really means to me? Like the fact that music gives us access to both is the fact that
Powerful.
what that means is life, because only in life can we make music. You know, if we were dead, we couldn't make music. If we were not born yet, we couldn't make music.
Exactly.
So we have to be alive. So music is a feature of life,
It
right?
is. It is. Very well said.
So what that tells me is that life exists somewhere between the sacred and the profane. So music is like a good example of something powerful. Music isn't just something to be taken for granted, like a product that we could just consume all willing. Music affects us to a metaphysical level.
For sure it does. I'm sure it reorients all the molecules in our bodies and all that shit.
And when shit reorganize the molecules in your body, it also determines the decisions you make in your fucking life, your conscious life.
It does. Absolutely, it does. You know, I mean, this is all. It's funny.
You want to hit this?
Oh,
Take a
no,
hit.
no,
Come on,
thanks.
take a hit.
Oh man, government work.
Oh man, you got it.
I'm too autistic to lie. I can't lie to the government. It's perjury.
Autism isn't real.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm actually autistic. I'm armchair diagnosing myself. But anyway,
No,
there was a point. I wanted to circle back to the whole sacred versus profane thing with music and with life, and I feel like it's kind of funny. I feel like this
And
is
mental
all,
illness and possession.
It's all connected. No, I feel like this is all
It
tying back
is.
into our the first conversation we had about sex and how it's like it's powerful shit. You know, it's I think sex is the same way. You know, sacred versus profane. Like it can be the most beautiful thing. And it can also be the most fucked up, dark, destructive
All right,
thing.
on that
It has
vein,
both.
in that vein,
So
do you know?
music, sex, life.
In
It's
my
all like
opinion,
that.
do you know what I think music is really bad for you, objective, like biologically, mentally, spiritually bad for you? It's when music activates your sexual impulses and attaches it with feelings like negative polarity feelings like greed, fear, shame, anger. Like if you listen to music that activates your sexuality and attaches it to negativity, that's going to program you to be a bad person.
Yeah, I think.
Because remember, we talked about before, sexuality is the root of all creation energy. And when you attach the root of all your creation to negative polarity, you're going to have a bad reality.
It's so true, though. I feel like, yeah, music and sex.
Also, on a material level, like let's talk about how sound effects matter.
Yeah, I
We
want to hear
talked
your
about
thoughts.
cymatics, right?
We talked about the Chladni plates, the sand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I made
water
one.
and water.
I made one of those in college.
Did you know that it's not just also a plate? Like you could take like a container of water, and if you like put a rod, like a sound rods that emit a certain specific frequencies of sound, maybe through, I don't know, what's the word? Electromagnetic wave? No, that's not the word. Basically, raw sound frequency transmission from like just a raw source, and you stick that in the water, and apparently, like that's enough to make the surface of the water take up shapes like a loose, gooey snowflake kind of looking thing.
Oh wow! I want to see this. Sounds beautiful.
Yeah, there's videos, but like, I mean, that stuff really freaks me out because
too.
I was always taught as a kid like 70 something percent
This
of our
percent of us is water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's going to
That's
change
powerful shit, man.
well that's going to change the way we do everything. It's going to change the way we
Yeah.
think, feel, and act.
Yeah, for real. No, it's yeah. When you think about that, it explains so much. I mean, you know, because that's a mystery I've contemplated for many years now. It's you know, what is it about music that gets us so emotional? What is it that touches us in this way? It's just a collection of sounds. It's just sounds. You know, why? Why? I've done research. I've listened to podcasts. I've researched theories on this.
So wait, then none of them ever talked about this? Like
No.
what?
No, never.
Oh.
Yeah, this is yeah. No, your theory makes more sense than anything else.
I mean, it's not my
I've
theory.
seen.
This is all like just conjecture, you know, 'cause based on what I've seen with cymatic experiments and just logic. Like,
It makes total sense.
I
to
mean,
me.
biologically, our bodies are mostly water, and you see what sound
Yeah.
does to water. And also, you look at crop circles. You know, you look at the
Oh
way
my God,
and
fucking crop
and this
circles.
goes back to the plant experiments. Like, what happens when you play different music to plants consistently? Like, it changes their growth rate and changes. It affects it. You know, like certain music.
Because they also absorb water. Yeah, plants.
Most of the plants are definitely water, you know, like so
Yeah,
so it's like
exactly.
you know, you play certain genres of music to to plants, it's going to affect the water and it's going to affect their rate of growth. I mean, it's actually interesting, like we think about all these like chemical and light treatments for plants. What if we just needed sound? What if to grow the best marijuana plants you just play them? You know, like that's what I'm saying, like.
Oh man, you totally should do that as an experiment. Just grow your weed plants and just have a different speaker attached to each one.
But what if they all
Contain each one in a soundproof box.
What if they all
Do it.
work? What
Do
if they
it.
all worked? What if the sound, the nutrients, and the chemical nutrients and the sound works? Except the sound
Write
is
this down in
but
your
the
commonplace book.
nah, it's already written down. But I'm saying,
Of course.
like, what if the sound part is covered up because the sound part is that powerful? What if the government actively covers up patents for like sound treatments in medicine, for example? What if through sound vibrations you could actually break apart cancer cells? You know, like what if dude, I have a tool right there that gets rid of plaque easy. You don't have to go to a dentist. It gets rid of all your fucking plaque, and you know what? It's a pick, and it worked for me. It got rid of tobacco stains. It got rid of coffee stains.
Deadass.
It's
It's the
in.
one weird trick the doctors don't want you to know.
It really is. It's
It
sound. It's
is.
vibrations. And what
I
about those?
believe it. I
Remember
believe
those
it.
magic toothbrushes that used to play songs when you used them in your head? They didn't play like when you take it out of your mouth, you don't hear the song, but you put it in and you brush your teeth with it, you hear the song in your head.
No.
You never saw those?
No.
Damn,
But it sounds pretty crazy.
it is pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. My father, because he's just as obsessed with music as I am. He's a brilliant musician,
What if
and he
no, no? It's
and he
like
posted no, he posted a link about this
music
because there
might
was
not just.
some.
Yeah, yeah.
He posted a study, some study. There were people who had cancer cells, and they listened to Beethoven and Mozart, and something about the cancer cells being diminished. I don't know, something like that.
There's a chance that this music could actually heal you,
I believe it. I
and
believe
there's a chance
it.
that the music on the opposite end of the spectrum could actually damage you.
I believe all of this. I mean, one thing about me is, and I know this is going to sound like that cop out answer that people give when you ask, oh, what kind of music do you like? And then they're, oh, I like a bit of everything. I don't mean it like that. I really do fucking try to
Yeah,
listen to
yeah, yeah.
everything. I
Yeah,
love
me too.
I really try because I really genuinely believe that there is a beauty to be found in every single genre. And you know how you believe that we're all just one soul? Well, I believe that all music, that every single genre of music, every single piece of music is connected. I believe it's all an expression of the same source. I think it's all an expression of the same source of beauty. And also, I believe that when we all listen to music, anybody in this world who's listening to music at the same time, I think is plugging into that source at the exact same time. And in that way, they're all connecting to each
You
other.
want to
That's
know
what
what
I
I
believe.
believe? I
Yeah.
believe that every piece of music that any human being in our human body could ever make has already been played at one point in the universe. It's already been played. Everything we could ever think of with our fingers and our minds and our eyes and our tongues, everything.
Maybe it's true. Who
It's
knows?
true. It's true.
Who
I truly believe
knows?
that. I think everything that we could ever think of has already been played. And it looks like that cycle is moving in a circle. It's not a circle. It's a spiral.
Why do you believe that?
Logic.
Why?
How old is the universe?
Uh,
Pretty fucking old, right?
yeah.
And within a short amount of time, how much shit can we make up? And also, like, do we really think we're that significant? No. Like, we've probably done everything we've done before. Because the universe is so fucking old. We've probably done this exact thing before. With minor, maybe this notebook was pink. Like, we could, like, somewhere in the universe, this exact thing has happened, except this notebook was pink. But relatively the same there was a podcast, there was, like, every variation is that we could conceivably think of with our physical little 3D brains. Yeah, it's probably happened.
It's kind of funny because now as an illustrator, I'm constantly hearing people talking about AI and the implications of AI on our work,
It
and
happened
I feel
already.
kind of like, what?
Happened already. AI
No,
has
I know,
happened.
I know, but my whole point is, and I do believe this. A lot of artists are saying that they don't think AI will ever completely replace us because creativity is such a human thing. It comes from the soul, and
No, but
I do
somewhere I'm
believe it.
saying like
But
somewhere in the
I have a point. But the point is, it's kind of interesting because at the same time I also agree that no art is completely 100% original.
it's not.
So it's sort of a funny paradox in a way. I mean, I don't think AI can really truly replicate the creativity of our souls, but at the same time, in a way, we are all kind of like AIs ourselves. We're sort of all machine learning. We're
AI can replicate our
synthesizing.
souls. It can.
Well, I mean, that's a whole other can of worms.
Because we are
Uh,
AI. That's the thing. We aren't
we
we
are machine learning.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not that different. If at all.
Eh, I don't know. I mean, it is interesting. Yeah. I don't think any art is ever 100% original.
No, just like ideas. Again, we don't make the ideas. We just accept the ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I really liked talking with you about journaling earlier tonight. I really like all the types of journals that you keep, and I think journaling and keeping notebooks in general is a really underrated topic, and it's one that really interests me because everybody, speaking of creativity and things coming from the soul, I really think everybody has a very unique way of doing it, and that fascinates me to see.
I try to try all the different ways. It's just I try to keep it purpose based. It's I don't know. It's I guess it's a thing like how accessible it is. Like what really put it into context for me was when I realized like in the days of the Old Testament that the Old Testament depicts, you did not waste paper in those days, and for a reason. And I also think about literature and words, and like they're very powerful. In fact, it's more powerful than anything. Like even as a martial artist, a musician, an artist, or whatever, like there's nothing more powerful than words. Something about words is just to be able to like this could last 1,000 years and you might not even know because you'd be dead. But this could last 1,000 years in the future and be an inspiration for like an invention that could save like hundreds of millions of lives. Like that's how powerful like books are. Like printed text or written word. It's just something about words that to me is like the height or something about it. It's not the highest, but it's something divine about it.
So you're into music and you're into writing and you're into words. Do you believe that music is a language?
I think music is mathematics. Music is a science, but it's
Because
also an art. Like chess. Like chess is like an art, science, and a sport. Music is like it's an art and a science.
in a way, it feels like a language to me too. It's got an oral. It's got a component that you hear,
No, no,
and then
no.
it's also and then you read it. It's kind of like
I think the
written
better way to look at
words.
it is like language
It's
is
got
kind of like
characters.
music, but really, I mean, whether you are so, for example, we got let's point to different examples. First, let's point to the one we're talking about, which is music. It's a language, you know. It features notes like notation, which contains enough data to denote pitch and also rhythm. Like it's like the timing. So it's like time and I guess technically space when you think about vibrations and matter. But then you think about language. Language involves words, letters, symbols that also hold data. And symbols hold data in the sense where it holds like also like a sound, like a pitch or a intonation, and also hold a numerical value. That's another big thing about linguistics is that people don't consider is linguistics is necessary for mathematics because you can't have mathematics without syntax, like a format of expressing thoughts, ideas in a structured way. You can't have math without that. And that's another thing. Like numbers is a whole different thing, but it's what connects all of it is patterns, pattern recognition, pattern synthesis, and pattern generation. It's if you're good with patterns, because everything is patterns, everything. Even on a, let's say you're a naturalistic primitivist rube, and all you think of is nature. Well, guess what? Nature moves in patterns, seasons, and cycles of migration, cycles of breeding, cycles of harvest. Like cycles of the seasons, like day and night cycle. Everything is patterns. That's a pattern. Linguistics is all patterns. Like patterns of speech, patterns of writing, patterns within syntax, patterns of structure. It's patterns. And if you look at an IQ test, it's recognizing your ability to recognize patterns. It's all about patterns. Like they'll say, like, can you spot the pattern? Can you spot the next number in the sequence? Can you spot the next piece in the sequence? It's all patterns. If you want to look at commerce, business, finances, it's all about your spending patterns, your income expenditure ratio. That's a pattern. Life is all patterns. Reality is patterns. Everything is patterns. And the thing about patterns is we think you have a choice when you look at patterns. You could either look at it as a circle, just a circle of repetition, or you could look at it as a spiral going up or going down. I prefer the spiral going up. Yes, I believe in repetition. I believe in routine. But if you go that routine, it could either go up or down. Like if you stick to a routine, you're never just going to go in a circle. Some people want to just go in a circle. I'm sorry to say it's never going to happen because time is a thing. If you keep repeating a pattern, you're either wasting time or you're doing productive things with your time. Like, so it's like, yeah, we're always moving in a spiral.
As in, things are always going to change.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
But the only way to make things change consciously is if you repeat things. What you repeat determines, gives you the most control over how things change.
Hmm.
routine, and routine and patterns.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking that there's a lot to unpack in everything that you just said. Everything is patterns, and
Everything is patterns. Am I wrong about that? Like it's
probably not.
no matter who you are. Like you wake up,
I mean,
you take a
we're
shit, you
all
take a piss, you
atoms.
brush your teeth, take a shower.
We're all atoms. Molecular atoms are all patterns.
Exactly. Do they not
Yeah.
have to revolve around the nucleus and
Molecules are patterns. They're patterns of
fluctuate?
atoms.
Like they got to
Every
do that.
atom is a pattern. It's the same pattern.
And to even define these things, we're just recognizing patterns.
Yeah. No, it's yeah.
We wouldn't even know the seasons unless we knew they moved in a cycle.
Yeah. True. True.
Everything is patterns.
Yeah. No, I'm just. How did we get from music and art to patterns? Is it because music is patterns and art is patterns? I guess
First of all,
they
of
are
course,
patterns. Yeah,
music is
music is
patterns.
patterns.
Music is definitely math is patterns. Language is
Yeah,
patterns.
music
Art
is
is patterns. Art
mathematical.
is patterns.
It is.
Art is patterns. Art is conscious manipulation of patterns. All right, let me ask you something.
Maybe.
How do you define magic?
It's a good question. I feel like we've talked about this before. Have we?
I don't know, but talk closer to the mic.
Um,
How do you define magic?
when something happens that goes against the laws of the universe.
No. Well, I mean, I can't
Or
say no to that. That's your
or
definition of magic. I can't argue with your definition of magic.
yeah, you're in an argumentative mood tonight.
No, I'm just saying I can't. I literally can't argue with your definition of magic. But I can tell you my definition of magic:
Yeah.
manipulating reality to your will,
Right. Yeah.
which is possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think so. Yeah. No. Regarding patterns, one thing that really interests me is the relationship between music and visuals. I guess it's related to patterns. I. I
Okay,
mean,
well, I'm sorry to use the P word. The P word really is a magical spell that makes me stupid and it
the
can make
P
other people
word.
stupid. The P patterns. But there's a proper terminology to even break down patterns. You know what it is? The
What?
formula?
No. What?
Cause and effect. Causal relationships with the outcome. Like, it's everything's cause and effect. Like a lot of people like to say, no, cause and effect isn't real. Something's just happened at random. There's nothing to
Who
there's
says that?
a lot of people. Because remember, imagine like your daughter gets killed in a drunk driving accident from some guy, and it's like, no, that guy was evil. That guy's a bad guy. Like he was a fucking bad man, and that's why my daughter's dead. And that's the whatever. But and it's not because of cause and effect. It's not because of simple like formula. Like there's nothing I could have done that would have saved my daughter's life. But that's not true. Like the truth is, like you could have done something. You could have said no, or you could have planned something else, or it's always cause and effect. The only thing is like it's the emotions that makes us push bias into the concept of cause and effect.
Emotions make
Like
us
9/11, you know how many, imagine telling a lot of like any of their victims of 9/11, like their families, about cause and effect. They'll be like, get the fuck out of my house.
Oh shit! Yeah,
So
or the Holocaust.
exactly, like the cause and effect is a very controversial thing, a concept to accept.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, yeah. What? Like,
Because it requires you
people
to,
think you're victim blaming.
yes, it requires you to take
Oh, oof.
responsibility
Yeah.
for your
Yeah, that is a
outcomes.
tough one. Wow. Well, how would you tell people to take responsibility for the outcomes of 9/11?
Well,
What? They
there's
shouldn't
a
have gone to
trick.
work that day, or
There's word games. I'll be like, you can't control what happens to you. You can only control how you respond. That's a good way to trick them into that state of accepting that idea.
Yeah, yeah, but still not entirely sure. I think my brain is tired. I barely slept last night.
No, it's all fun. It's all good. I mean,
Yeah.
let's talk about. All right, what I want to talk about.
No, it's interesting. It's interesting. You're just gonna have to bear with me and explain things. I
No, no,
guess.
no, no, no. What I really want to talk about is actually leisure. I was thinking about going to a sauna spa lately. I mean, even if I have to go by myself, I don't care. Like who's with me, I just
Ooh, I
yeah,
like saunas and spas.
yeah.
I might be down, depending on when you want to do it.
I mean, there's places all over New York.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That could be fun. I love actually I've always felt that saunas and spas are low key a really good way to judge the culture of a to gauge the culture of a place of a new place when you visit because for a while I was living in Berlin and I tried to travel around Europe as much as possible and I made a point to go to a lot of different saunas and bathhouses and banyas and spas and stuff like that and it was really interesting seeing the different take each place had on them like in Hungary the bath in Budapest, the bathhouses, they felt kind of like something you'd see in the Grand Budapest Hotel. Like they were Cyrillic and they were all old and crumbling and felt very Slavic. I guess a bit like the banyas here, but even more so, like on steroids.
If it ain't
But then,
broke, don't fix it.
yeah, and then in Switzerland, in Zurich, I went to one that was it was very fancy and it had all these kind of herbal smells and actually that one was kind of annoying because it felt like virtually everyone there was a couple and they were all kind of making out in the water and I was there
Oh,
all
that's
alone.
cute.
Yeah, but I was there alone and my boyfriend wasn't there and I missed him and yeah, but whatever. It was a cool spa. And yeah, so it's just interesting. And then in San Francisco, everyone was totally naked, which kind of amazed me because it's America, so I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, but it's San Francisco.
Yeah, I dug that though. I wish it were more of a thing in America.
What, nudity?
Yeah,
Just go to Reese
platonic
Beach.
nudity. Reese Beach?
Yeah, it's the People's Beach.
Wait, what?
You never heard of Reese Beach?
Sounds familiar, but no. Wait, maybe where is it?
It's in the Rockaways. It's like the de facto nude beach.
Oh shit! How come I never heard of this? I lived in New York most of my life.
Yeah, check out Reese Beach.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
You'll see a lot of naked people there.
Damn, my
It's like the gay beach, you know.
Wow, my quasi German FKK loving ass is kind of into this. FKK in German it stands for Freikörperkultur.
Well, obviously
Free body
it's better
culture.
to go in the summertime, or late
Well,
spring.
no shit, but yeah, no, but in Germany, so in East Germany in particular, they talk about the concept of FKK, the Freikörperkultur, which means free body culture. Basically,
Yeah.
they're just very big on nude beaches and nude saunas and doing everything naked. I swear to God, there was a meme. So Brandenburg is a state in East Germany. Berlin is technically in the middle of it, but Berlin is its own state. It's weird, but anyway, Brandenburg it surrounds Berlin. And there was a meme that the Brandenburg police once shared on their Twitter where they randomly saw this fucking fat guy who was completely naked just sitting on his motorcycle in the middle of the summer just outside and they were just they didn't arrest him or anything. They were just so confused. They're like, what the fuck? And they posted on their Twitter and they're like, you guys, caption contest, how would you caption this? It was so ridiculous.
One of my good friends is out in I think Vienna right now.
Oh, cool. I love Vienna.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, I fucking love Vienna. I went there in 2016, and honestly, I wish I could go back. Look, I love music. You and I, we've talked so much about music and music. I think you and I, we both love music more than almost anything.
Sure. Yeah.
Honestly, if you love classical music, you should go to fucking Vienna. That music, that city bleeds classical music. Virtually every street, I went to so many concerts there. And they have these concert cafes also, and many of them are very old. Like they'll have a person in there playing piano, or they'll have other kinds of music, and they have all these Viennese desserts and coffee, and it's a really underrated city in my opinion. I don't know why it doesn't get as much attention as places like Paris or Rome or London.
Nazis.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know if that's what it is.
No, I mean the whole Rhineland got a bad rap.
Well, sure, but people go to Germany now. Like they go to Berlin. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, but it really meant a lot to me when I was there because a lot of it is my obsession with Beethoven. And I remember one really meaningful part of the trip was I went to Heiligenstadt, which is just on the border of Vienna. It used to be its own city. It comes from the word for healing in German. Heilen is like to heal yourself, and then Stadt is city. So Heiligenstadt, it was named Heiligenstadt because it had a lot of hot springs, And back in the day, people would go in Vienna, they would go out there to try and heal themselves of whatever ailments they were experiencing. So Beethoven went to Heiligenstadt. He lived there when doctors told him he was going deaf, and I think he was trying to cure his deafness by spending time out there. And then, I mean, it was a really moving visit for me personally going to Heiligenstadt because that's where he wrote that's where he wrote his Eroica symphony, which I mentioned earlier in our podcast. It's his third symphony, and that one really just it's powerful. I mean, it broke ground in classical music, and he wrote his. So before that all happened, so first he wrote Symphony Number 2 when he was out there, and then the doctors told him that no, that's it. You're going deaf for real. You're not going to get your hearing back. And he was so depressed, he decided to kill himself, and he wrote his a suicide letter, which is now known as his Heiligenstadt Testament. And you can actually go to the house where he lived during that time and read his testament. Like he seriously was planning to commit suicide. But he didn't do that. He bounced back and he wrote the Eroica, and it was way fucking better than either of his first symphonies. It was completely groundbreaking. Because if you listen to Beethoven's first two symphonies, they sound kind of like they could be Mozart or Haydn. They sound a lot more like traditional classical music. But you could make the argument that the Eroica Symphony, it really ushered in the entire Romantic period. It really transitioned everybody from the classical era to the Romantic era because it's such a fervent, it's such an explosion of emotion.
Yo, let me ask you something. Do you
Yeah.
think, like, imagine a guy who's like really good at producing masterful video games with like music, cinematics, and gameplay. Everything was just perfect. But then, like, he went blind. Do you think he'd still be able to like figure out a way to make like amazing video games?
Hmm. I think so. I think there are ways. There was a girl at my college. I went to art school, and there was one girl who was in a tragic accident that left her blind, a biking accident, and I think she has some method of creating art now. She uses some kind of special pen or something that transmits these signals to her brain. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but I mean, I think about this sometimes because my grandmother has macular degeneration and she's going blind basically. I mean, she's in her 90s now, but and she didn't get this till she was very old, but I
Yeah,
wonder
that's what I mean. Like, they
sometimes.
started to be able to see, but then like they lost their vision. Like, would they still be able to do it?
Well, yeah. I mean, they probably need some kind of special device or something.
Or what if you were like a brain surgeon and suddenly like you lost the use of your hands? You know,
These are, yeah, good
I bet you'd
questions.
still have a lot of value. You know.
I mean, Darren was telling me recently that apparently Beethoven had some kind of special device that I forgot how it worked, but it sent vibrations into his skull or something, and that's how he was able to perceive pitches. I don't know. I just heard this from him recently. I
I
don't
think
know.
it's more just mathematical. Like, once you've heard it, once you've heard the pitch, once you could apply it to notation, like it's very easy to write a story after that. Like, once you understand the keys and the modes, and you understand what they do in relative to the pitch you're playing in, the key you're playing in. Once you've heard it like enough, you're able to, even if you lose your hearing, you're still able to craft great stories. Like, I think it's like, imagine being a writer. Like, you're really good at writing. You're amazing at telling stories, but then suddenly you lose your eyesight. Like, yeah, you can't type. You can't sit at a typewriter and type anymore, and you can't see and you can't edit video. But you could still come up with a good fucking story, right?
Yeah, sure. Wait, if you yeah, well, yeah, of course. It's hard to write it if you can't see, but you can still come up with a
And it's hard to,
story.
like, it's hard to do a lot of new things. It's hard, but you could still come up with a good story because you've read stories, you've seen the aesthetics of words and the symbols and the letters. But even if you lose your sight after that, like, you could still do it. And you know what it is? Maybe you'll even be better at it. It's like video games. Video games used to be so good, like artistically, not like product wise or just time sucking wise, but good artistically because there was a time when they only had like what, like 32 bits on a cartridge to be able to fuck around with,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
tell a story, to keep you engaged, to sell a product, and they did it right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like
Yeah, totally,
limitations
totally.
sometimes could promote creativity.
Totally. Limitations can be fantastic for creativity.
I
Absolutely.
think it's necessary.
Yeah, I think so. You need that structure. I mean, art is really the perfect balance of good art is the perfect balance of structure and freedom. I
Yeah.
believe this completely.
But it's almost like a non-duality phase where it's like more structure, more restriction gives you more freedom in a way.
Yeah,
You know what it is? Because with more restriction, you cut off more bullshit. Like,
I agree.
think of any restriction. Like, oh, you're saying I can't eat carbs. Okay, you're saying I can't eat more than once a day. Okay, you're saying I can't drink alcohol. Okay, you're saying I can't jerk off. Okay, and then you just keep cutting, and it's like, what's left? All that's left is just you coming
You.
face to face with you.
You and yeah. Yeah, that's true. I think you're absolutely right about that.
I mean, all the religions are all about cutting shit out. Like, like, and when you do that, it's just you and you.
I think so too. Yeah, that's powerful. I think a lot of people are scared of themselves. I
Uh,
think they're scared of whatever's there beyond the bullshit.
like journaling,
Yeah,
that's a hack.
it
Journaling is
is.
a
It
really
is.
fast hack to get to that state. It's like
It
when you're
is. It
writing to no
is.
one but you, and you read that and you don't like it. Well, that means you don't like yourself.
I mean, that's why I do 30 minutes of morning page stream of consciousness every day because I mean, that is, the whole thing with the morning pages is you're not supposed to censor yourself. It's just full on stream of consciousness. So
Even
it really helps you confront all that
even if
shit.
you did, censor yourself, like after like 2 or 3 days, you'd be like, "What the fuck is the point of censoring myself?" Like you'd
Yeah,
be like,
yeah.
"Who am I censoring?" Like, that's what
Like,
happened.
yeah, who am I censoring myself from?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
there's no point. There's literally and that's a brutal hit. Like where you're trying to censor yourself, it's like, wait a minute, who am I trying to impress?
It's true,
And then
yeah.
it hits you like a ton of bricks. You're like, wow, I'm stupid. Like.
It's so funny. The other night, I met a guy in a bar who so he does illustration, but he also works in the hospital, and he was telling me how he takes all of his art and he organizes it and labels it in a way such that if he were and this guy's young, he's our age, I think. And he says he organizes and labels his art in such a way that if he were to die, people would know exactly what it is and what to do with it. And I thought that was a really interesting way to do it because it kind of made me think about my. I don't do that with my art, but I feel like with my journal entries, even though they're for my eyes only, I feel like on some level in the back of my mind, I always have that thought that one day I'm going to die and people are going to find pages, they're going to find piles and piles of journals in my house. So I write them, and I feel like I subconsciously write them in such a way. Like when I write about my family, like I call my parents Ima and Abba, which is mom and dad in Hebrew. But I don't even refer to them as Ima and Abba in my journal. I always write my mom. My dad said this. My mom did that.
You want to
So
hear
I don't
something
know.
interesting?
Yeah.
You know Morgan Freeman?
Yeah, of course.
He wears expensive diamond earrings specifically, so when like no matter where he is in the world, when he dies, his earrings could pay for his burial.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
I mean, I think it's practical. It's very logical.
Yeah, it's brilliant, but crazy.
That's why I wear gold. I think gold is
Whoa,
like
that's real gold?
like yeah. No matter where I am, I
Whoa.
wear just enough gold to pay for a meal. It's
No
like if I'm
way. I
starving,
like
it's like
that.
here, you take this.
That's fucking crazy, but I like it.
No, I mean, first of all,
No, I crazy in a good way.
like an
I
airport
like
can't
it.
like if you go through customs, like they're not gonna take your jewelry compared to your like if you wear like a lot of if you have a lot of money, money can always be tracked, but jewelry is just a product you buy. But they'll take it because it's gold.
Oh
Gold
my
has that value.
god. You want to become like one of these hood dudes wearing like a gold cap on
No,
your
no, no, no,
teeth?
no. This is
I'm just
actually
fucking with you.
no, no. I'm saying, where I learned this. This was a special forces trick. Like special forces guys when they're like out there, they wear like gold links on their wrist because that's enough to get like a weapons for lodging and supplies.
Yeah.
Because
Oh
like
wow.
imagine going through an airport if you had like that much in cash, they'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Whereas if you
Yeah,
had
yeah.
like jewelry, you're like, "All right, whatever."
No, it's kind of brilliant.
It is brilliant. That's
No, I think it's really cool. Just to clarify, I know I'm saying it's crazy, but I mean it's crazy brilliant. Like, why didn't I hear about this or think of it before? Is what I mean.
Well, that's why they do it, because no one thinks about it.
I mean, it's also totally it's totally nuts. But
Also,
wow.
Jews do it too. Jews hide their wealth in jewelry. Chinese do the same thing.
Darren and I have had this conversation about the Jews and the Chinese, and
Yeah, hiding your wealth in gold and jewelry.
yeah.
Makes perfect
Darren was
sense.
telling me how Chinese people they'll hide a bar of gold in their house.
Yeah, why not?
Man, it's crazy.
You know what? You know what? Now we have those Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
I talked about this before. I was like, people like to talk shit about Bitcoin as a way of making income, which I agree with, but you can't denounce it. For example, like let's say you're a farmer or a drug dealer in China, and you make your money in China, and you say, all right, I did the work, I gave my pound of flesh. Now I want to move to America and live the regular American life. Let's say you want to bring your money to America, because you could afford it. So you obviously have money you want to bring there too. You're telling me you're going to put your money in a Chinese bank, transfer it to an American bank, and then pull it out from an American account and then use it in America. You know how badly you're going to get fucked in that whole process?
Yeah.
That's like at least a 20% rip.
I can see that. No, it makes
However,
sense. Yeah.
what if in China you just put all your money in Bitcoin, go to America, pull your money out? Easy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to China, you do have all that bullshit you got to deal with, and
Or you could just buy Bitcoin, put it in your fucking cold storage, go to America. Hey, go into TD Bank, go into Chase, go into Bank of America. It's like, hi, I am Chinese. I would like to open up a bank account too. And they'd be like, yes, step right up. We love these fucking foreign motherfuckers like you, and and
yeah.
and they'd be like, okay, now I attach you my bank account to with
Oh my God.
Coinbase, and that's the beauty of Bitcoin, because you could do that,
Yeah, man.
And
yeah,
you could be
it's
from
like, fuck
China.
the banks.
You could be from exactly,
Yeah,
and
fuck them.
that's why it's a problem, because well, it's a problem to them,
Maybe I should get into Bitcoin and shit.
Well, it's a tool.
Yeah.
Whether you use it as an investment device or a tool, it's still there.
Yeah. I once got hired to do a web design for a meme coin website. There was a guy who wanted to make a meme coin based on Chuck Norris, and I got subcontracted to do the web design for it. I mean, they didn't go with my concept in the end, but it was fun.
To what? To make a coin?
No. I did the web design for their meme coin, for their Chuck Norris
Fuck
coin.
that.
Yeah, no, yeah, they were very
First of all, Bitcoin is the only real thing. Bitcoin is the only thing. If you're gonna, to anyone listening, I don't give financial advice normally, but like,
disclaimer.
if you're gonna invest in a coin, just invest in Bitcoin. I know it's expensive, but at least you could buy fractions of it on the dollar, so on the cent, fractions of a cent even.
Yeah.
So just invest, put your money in Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin falls, then everything is, trust me, everything is fucking done. Like there's no way. If you take away Bitcoin right now, if Bitcoin were to just disappear, we would go into Armageddon.
Oh shit. Yeah, I know this website, the Chuck coin, isn't doing well as far as I know.
Oh, fuck all the other coins. There is no second best to Bitcoin. That's just the truth.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know shit about cryptocurrencies, but I'll take your word for it.
What about stocks?
I mean, I'm late to the party. I just turned 35, and I only just now finally started investing my fucking money. I just put it in the S&P 500.
How much of your money do you invest?
I don't know if I want to talk about that.
Well, here's what I'll talk about. I'll talk about this one interesting YouTube video that I came across. It was called the Genius Jewish Money.
Oh, I see.
So here's this is what I use. So full disclosure, I still do this system, and it works for me, and it should work for you. Because remember, the Jews have been teaching their kids this for millennia. Now here's the system. Did I ever tell you this?
Oh, you told me the Jewish money system where they invest a certain amount in and charity, and a certain amount they give to family and friends.
Yeah, the
and
five
then-
jar system.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically it's 20, it's 10% to God, that's tithing, 20% to investing, 10% to savings, 10% to charity and giving to friends and family, and 50% to just spend on your fucking damn self.
Yeah, no, it's a sound system.
It's a
Makes
great
sense to
system. It's an
me.
amazing system.
Yeah, definitely.
And the fact that it's Jewish makes it delicious. You know, like,
Why?
I don't know. It's like why?
That's like a meme. Jews and money.
No. I was more thinking like, why do they keep this such a, like why doesn't everyone teach this? But what that made me realize, like, cultures don't teach their kids about money except for the Jews. Only the Jews teach their kids about it. Every other culture does not do that.
Really?
Yes.
Is that so?
Well, the Chinese started doing it ever since Mao. You know, ever since China, like ever since communism came into the purview of China,
I
that's when every
see.
peasant started thinking
Yeah.
about money.
Well, it makes sense because yeah, they all got it taken away from them.
Exactly.
Yeah, all their wealth.
But before
confiscated.
that, no, it was all the Jews. The Jews were the only ones who understood the con. It's not about money. It's not that the Jews were about money. It's they understood the concept of liability
Interesting.
and debt and interest. You know, like those are the metaphysical concepts of money. Like the material concepts of money is looking at a piece of paper, you fucking idiot. You know, like, but if you understand the metaphysical concept, it's like what's more important than the piece of paper or what it represents. It's also how much of what it represents is owed to you and how much you owe to others. That's your energy. And that's when the Chinese figured it out. That's when the Chinese realized, like, oh, the Jews were just tapping into energy, and the Jews were just like, yes, we're just tapping into mana. You know, like,
Yeah, mana. Yeah, that
Yeah.
whole thing.
yeah, that's the same thing, and that's the root of all wealth really is. It's all based on mana systems.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because a lot of my family members work in finance. Haha. They actually do, but they didn't really teach me a whole lot about money. A lot of the stuff that I
What did they teach you about?
well, okay, I mean, when I went up to them and I decided, hey, I'm going to invest my money, you know, this, what do you think, blah, 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 then they answered my questions, but they didn't just come to me and be like, hey, time for you to learn about money. Also, my parents, they're not in finance. They're music professionals.
You know what will fuck your
Like, they
parents
don't
up?
know.
Tell your parents about what I tell your parents, like, hey, mom or dad, everyone is the same soul living different lives in different bodies.
You know, I think my father would for sure be open to this.
What about your mother?
I'm trying to think, you know, maybe she'd entertain it. I think both my parents are spiritual in their own ways, and they're.
I just because like
I
this
think
is
my parents, they both have their own wild.
because this is an
beliefs.
idea that has to spread. You know, like this is
Maybe
true.
I should ask them. I feel like my dad would be down with this, though. I think he would be.
Because you know
My
everyone
mom,
because we all believe in God, right? That's the idea. It's like if you believe
I
in
think my
God,
parents both believe in God.
and you're a creation of God, you're a fractalization of God's will.
Yeah.
So you are of God.
No, I believe all of this. I believe it's totally possible. Yeah, no, interesting. I'm wondering now what my mom.
Well, it's like, how would you describe an atheist who believes in God? I feel like I'm an atheist who believes in God. I do believe in God.
That just sounds like a gay person who is attracted to the opposite sex. I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, I'm not an atheist. I definitely
Either you
believe.
believe in God or you don't.
I definitely fucking believe in God. It's not even belief. It's I know God is real. Like it's something you just know. It's like it's becoming a physics question, you know, too. It's like there's an order to things, and you could call that order like it's because the it gets murky when we consider everyone has personal relationships to God. It's like, oh, my God is like this father figure, or well, my God is a mother figure, or but what I'm saying is there's a thing, just a thing. You know, whether it's a father figure, a mother figure, a brother figure, or whatever. It's a conscious thing that's conscious, intelligent.
God
Yeah.
is a conscious thing that's intelligent.
Yes.
Hmm.
So we got 20 minutes left. What are we gonna talk about?
You know, I have to say, I feel sometimes like being on a podcast with you, it makes me think of acid trips I've taken because I don't know. It's interesting. It's like they're the intense moments, and then there are the moments where it's just kind of like there. It's you know it's like I don't know. There's something about the frequency and the wave that the conversation takes. It makes me think of acid trips, how they peak, and then there's the come down, and
Yeah, and I just roll with it.
I like yeah. It's interesting to me how you do this. It's
It's
yeah.
sociopathic almost. Yeah, I know. Well, I guess the point is, I mean, it's all energy based and it's all about attention. Honestly, what I was focusing on is the drawing of your cats. They're actually really fucking good.
Thank you.
The way you draw their faces,
Thank you. Should I show them on the? Should I show
yeah.
them on the camera?
I'll probably use it as a cover photo for the episode.
Oh, okay.
No,
So
definitely show it on the camera though.
yeah,
I like the
yeah.
I like the
All right.
perspectives. You know, they're really the camera's over there.
All right, kitty.
Yeah.
These are my cats.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. So just for context, for people who are listening, I'm working on a new zine right now, and it's about the life of a bodega cat. It's all about. So basically, the idea came to me because I always thought it would be kind of funny to do a graphic novel about the goings on in a bodega, because it's sort of like you have all the same people who go every day. You have the neighborhood characters. You have the people who come in and start the same drama every day. And I thought, what if I did a whole graphic novel about just people's life stories unfolding in a bodega? It's like the drama, the romance, the humor. And then it got me thinking even more. Bodega cats, they're the ones who see all of this. They're the ones who are there all the time. They're like the eye, in a way, bodega cats are like the eyes and ears of the whole fucking neighborhood. So I thought it would be really funny just to do a comic about this cat who lives in a bodega and life in the bodega from her perspective. It's like you have the guys there who just hang out there all day, every day,
Well,
just
you
bullshitting.
know what you got to see?
Yeah.
You got to see this anime and this manga of this. It's about this. It's really about a cat, but it's about the guy who adopts a cat, and this guy is a mangaka.
Yeah.
He's a manga artist,
Oh wow.
and it's just really funny because just to watch this, and he's an introvert. He's an introverted manga artist, and he's wildly successful. Like, he's very talented.
Aw.
Everyone likes his work. But then he comes across this cat, and this cat disrupts his life in like the worst way, at the worst time.
What the fuck?
But eventually, like, he develops a really strong relationship with the cat,
I love it.
and the cat forces him to make friends. Like, it forces him to go to a pet store where he meets like a girl working at the pet store, and the girl's like, "Oh, you have a cat?" And he's like, "Yeah, I have a cat." And then she's like, "Well, what kind of cat is it? Is it a boy cat or is it a young cat? Old cat?" Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it's a young cat, I guess." And yeah, he just needs some food. And she's like, "Well, you got to be careful because young cats are blah, blah, blah." And it makes him learn. It makes him learn to take care of things. And when I read it, I was living alone with my cat, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice," because
Aww. Oh my god.
I mean, it was nice. I mean, this is why it was such a good series,
Kinda
because
wholesome.
it is very wholesome.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of characters getting introduced, because it was started as an introvert, and he was forced on behalf of the cat. Like, the cat
That's
would,
so sweet.
yeah, the cat would also,
I love that.
yeah, and the cat would like chase things like, that he couldn't see. And in the epilogue of the episode, you realize the cat was like
Typical cat.
the cat was swatting away at like ghosts of his ancestors or some shit.
Oh yeah, they do that.
Yeah.
Cats and spirits. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. So it was a good show.
I love that. That's what's it called? Mangaka?
No. It was about a mangaka. A mangaka is just a manga guy. But yeah, I'll show you the manga.
Yeah, send it to me.
My roommate is a cat or some shit. Like, that's
Oh,
what
I love it. I love it so. I fucking love this. It's
but it was so unique to Japan because like
very Japanese.
Yeah. He was like
Yes.
specifically like he's like, "What's the matter lately? Like, you haven't been writing good manga lately." And then he's like, "All right, I'll make the next deadline." And then like he meets the cat, and then it's like the cat disrupts his life, but then eventually the cat makes him write better stuff. Like
That's so. Oh my god, I love it so much. I feel like this touches on Yeah, it is uniquely Japanese for sure because I feel like the Japanese have this whole introversion, loneliness thing going
And
on,
deadline
and
based.
cat, and they love cats,
Yeah.
and they have the manga, and yeah, I mean,
And like the girl, I think the girl that the love interest has a kid, and she's like, the kid's like, I want to see the cat, or maybe it was a little sister or
oh,
something.
oh my god, man, this is it's like bleeding with wholesomeness.
It is a whole cats are healing, you know.
I think so too. I really do. I'm a huge cat lover.
You ever heard of the video game Stray?
No, Stray.
Yeah.
No.
So Stray is
Stray. Oh, Stray. It's about a stray cat.
yeah, it takes place in
Oh.
like a post-apocalyptic future, and it's like it's everything's like dilapidated, and you play as a cat, like a kitten, and it's with its
Oh.
pack. But then like it gets separated from all of its brothers and sisters, and you're all alone, and you play as that all alone kitten, and you come across a robot, and the robot is like introduces you to the world.
I
It's like,
love
oh yes, you know,
it.
humans used to populate this world, but then they all died out, and now it's just us robots left. And you, as the
Oh,
kitten,
I love
grow
it.
with the robot,
Cats
and
and robots. I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
and you go on an adventure, and
Wow.
you have to set the robots free because the robots are the last
I
vestiges of
love
humanity.
this.
Yeah,
Damn, maybe I should include a robot in my Bodega Cat story. See, no art is fully original. We're all getting our ideas from somewhere.
honestly, spoiler alert for if you haven't played Stray, but like the sad part is was at the end of Stray. I mean, the cat does everything. The cat frees like the robots, so they go from the underworld to the outer world again, and they see the sunlight.
Oh,
But the cat doesn't meet with its siblings again. It just
oh no.
no, but it's happy. It's like, yeah, I'm my own cat
Oh my
now. You know?
god. That makes you think of the tale of the Princess Kaguya. Have you seen that movie?
No, but it's bittersweet. It's a
It's
bittersweet.
extremely,
Yeah.
extremely. Oh, it's actually heartbreaking. This movie. I don't. Okay, so yeah, spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear spoilers, there's a Princess Kaguya. Fast forward for the next minute. But yeah, no, it's about this. It's a Studio Ghibli movie, and yeah, no, this girl, she comes to Earth, and eventually she gets separated. You know, she has to go back to the planet she came from, and I mean, the whole movie's just it's just one of these movies that really stayed with me. And the animation style is fucking gorgeous. It's like kind of this rough, sketchy animation style. Honestly, Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki is one of my absolute favorite artists of all time. Of all time, I've been getting into animation this year also, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for him.
I'm almost sorry to waste it on this podcast, but like, you know, it'd be a good idea for like a comic or a video game or an animated graphic novel or whatever. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, a visual novel type
What?
deal.
What?
Like a stray cat in Ukraine during the Russian invasion, you know?
Oh my
Like you would
god.
hear like the cat like the comic would just follow the cat. It would be watercolor. A watercolor
I
comic.
love it.
And the cat would follow like just different locations and hear different conversations from like different characters, you know?
I think cats in general make really fascinating
Narrators,
characters.
yeah.
Yeah, because cats, like more so than dogs, because dogs, I love dogs too, but they're just kind of like, oh, they're very loyal, they're friendly, whatever, blah blah blah. But cats, you just get the sense they have this entire inner world going on that you're only seeing at the tip of the iceberg. They're introverted and standoffish, and they're always doing weird things, and they act independent, like they don't give a fuck about you. And you're always wondering, it's like, man, what is going on in their head? Like, what the fuck? Like, why are they doing so much weird shit? Like, why are they going and hiding in their little box? Why are they, I saw a video today of some people getting out of the subway on an escalator, and there was a cat just literally sitting there by the entrance, and they were all just stepping over the cat, and the cat didn't budge. I was like, what the fuck, that's why I think cats are way more fascinating as main characters in a story than dogs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, once we start to understand cats more, I guess that's when the stories become more rich. But dogs, I guess, I mean, some dog stories I do like. Like, you ever see Balto?
That sounds so familiar. I think it's just because my friend has a dog named Balto.
Yeah, it was a Disney movie. I think it was a Disney movie. It
Oh,
was a
okay, okay.
cartoon.
Hmm.
About it was an animated film about a dog who he was like half wolf, half husky or whatever, and took place in
Cute.
Alaska.
Oh, I
And they
love
tried to
it.
deliver
I love
medicine
it.
to a plague stricken town. It was a good story. It was about yeah,
Hmm.
Balto was good.
I'll keep that in mind for sure.
I hope you see Balto.
All right. I have to say, 101 Dalmatians and the Aristocats are two of my favorite Disney movies. Those are also about dogs and cats.
I like those movies too.
Yeah, but part of it is also honestly just the animation style. I think
Honestly,
it's
I think 101
beautiful.
Dalmatians was a superior movie. I like,
I agree. I
yeah.
agree. Yeah. 101 Dalmatians, it might be my favorite Disney movie of all
I
time,
don't know about that.
possibly.
Disney,
It's up there. It's up there for me for sure. For
I don't know, cause
sure.
Disney's too crazy. First of all, there's like the classic ones like Lion King and shit, and then there's like the
Disney
Pixar ones like
Renaissance.
Monsters Inc. and Lion and Toy Story. Like that shit is nuts.
Pixar, yeah. It's really interesting to me going through the different eras of Disney because there was the golden age and then there was the Xerox xerography age and then there was sort of the dark age and then the Renaissance age and like I don't know if you've delved into Disney animation history, but I'm sort of a budding animator and so I became really fascinated and went down the rabbit hole and watched all these documentaries about it and like do you know anything about Disney and how they used xerography?
What is xerography?
It's really interesting. It's an animation technique that they got into. So basically, it defined an entire era. It started roughly around 101 Dalmatians, and it continued, I think, all the way up until the 90s, kind of. So basically, it was a way for them to speed up the animation process by xeroxing their cells, their animation cells, and do you know how if you watch movies like 101 Dalmatians, Robin Hood, The Aristocats, I think also The Jungle Book, you see how they're like kind of these scratchy black lines around all the characters. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking? That's because of the xerography. Like that's what resulted from just xeroxing the cells. But then if you watch movies from prior to that, from Disney's golden age, so-called golden age, like Cinderella or Alice in Wonderland, you'll notice that or Peter Pan, you'll notice that the outlines around the characters, they're all in different colors. I don't know if you've ever noticed this.
Interesting.
But like if you look at, for example, the characters' faces, it's like a slightly fleshy sort of color. It's like the same as their skin tone, but it's darker. Or if you look at the outlines around their clothing, it's the same color, but it's darker. So they so it's really beautiful and every you can tell every frame was very painstakingly handcrafted. But then when they moved on to the xerography, they did it to save time and it saved their budget big time also. But then it also drastically altered the style and a lot of people complained. Like they were not really into the xerography look. Personally, I'm a big fan. I really like it.
I mean, what I did see, for example, in Mulan, like they would have the landscape and they would have like a clear plastic sheet, but they would print on the army, and they would be able to like drag it down the shot in a certain way, and they would like use different sheets to be able to like scan it down.
Whoa. Well, by the time they got to Mulan, that was another thing. That was the Disney Renaissance era. That was the 1990s, and they were already making use of computer
Like
graphics.
Tarzan and shit.
Yeah. Oh, Tarzan is very interesting because the legendary Disney animator Glenn Keane, he watched his son skateboarding and surfing to get an idea of how Tarzan should move.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I said that was a good movie.
Yeah, I mean everything from the Disney Renaissance is
But
brilliant.
Mulan was very interesting.
Yeah.
Very unique for Disney, I would say, at least.
Because it's not just a Disney princess, it's a woman who's going to fight in a war and pretending to be a man.
Well, it's also like non-Western, you know.
Oh yeah, that is also true also. Well, you can tell in the 90s they were kind of starting to branch off a little more
Yeah, like
away from
Aladdin was
that.
also non-Western.
Aladdin.
Yeah.
And I guess even though Pocahontas technically happened in the West, I mean, it's not just white people, it's also Native Americans.
Pocahontas is great.
Yeah, I know. I love Governor Radcliffe.
Yeah. But the most racist movie was probably Lion King.
Wait, why? Because of like the Nazi hyenas, or
Everything about it, like just
Really? How
yeah.
is it racist?
I don't know. It's just like analogizing the stereotypes with animals. You know, it's like that's inherently, you know, like it's you can't avoid it. You know.
What stereotypes are there in The Lion King?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like well, you just said one, like with the hyenas and
Oh, I thought.
stuff.
Oh, honestly, look, I'm Jewish. I thought people were reading way too deeply into that.
No, I'm saying it's like you can't help it because like every racist trope goes down to like a dehumanization slash animalization of them. Like you know whether it's calling like Asian people bugs, black people monkeys, white people pigs. Like you know, it's always gonna be the same shit. It's dehumanizing to animalization because humans are inherently animals.
But people weren't doing that in The Lion King.
Yeah, they. I mean, no, it's the opposite. It's literally like the personification of animals, which is like the same thing but in reverse. You know?
Wait, you're saying it's racist to personify animals?
No, 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 not intentionally. I don't think it's intentionally racist, but I think it can't. It could. You do it without meaning to. You know.
I can't tell how much of this is
All right. First of all, like let's look at
serious.
Madagascar. You know, you saw the movie Madagascar, right?
I know about it, but I never actually watched it.
You never saw Madagascar.
No.
All right, there was a
I know
joke.
of it.
There was a joke amongst the voice actors, because Chris Rock was in the movie, but he played the zebra. And they were like, there was a joke in the movie where he was like, I can't tell if I'm black with white stripes or
Oh shit.
white with black stripes. Yeah, yeah, that was a real line in the movie. And everyone was like that. And Jada Pinkett Smith, who also did the voice of the hippo, she commented on that line. She was like, yeah, it was pretty funny because that.
Yeah, I think yeah.
But it's a real thing, you know, it's like you can't avoid it, you know, whether you deny it or not. Like it's just in front of you, blatant. And it's like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay, there are always going to be some instances where clearly they're using animals to portray racist stereotypes of a person and
No,
dehumanize
it's not
them,
about the
but
animal. It's not about the animal use itself. I'm just saying it's like when it comes to, I guess, like personifying human experience to animals, like the racism thing just pops up. You know, whether you mean for it to or not. You know what else? Not even on an animal nature. You ever see Osmosis Jones?
no,
That you never saw Osmosis Jones?
no, no.
You gotta see this fucking movie.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's it about? What is this?
All right. God, I can't believe I'm describing Osmosis Jones.
There's a lot of shit I haven't seen.
All right, so Osmosis Jones. It's a movie about it's all goes within the body of a guy named Frank. Frank is played by Bill Murray. Now, in this body, this is an animated movie for the most part. So everything that's not animated is like outside of the body, like you see Bill Murray and it's like, but inside the body you see all the cartoon stuff, and it's about a white blood cell named Osmosis Jones. And this white blood cell, he's like a cop in the body. He's like, yeah, my job is to take out the germs and the bacteria, blah blah blah. And
Whoa.
but the thing is, Frank is an idiot. So one time, to impress his daughter or something, Frank eats like an egg covered in like monkey spit and feces. Cause he drops it, a hard-boiled egg. He drops it in the zoo.
Oh
He
no, I
works
think
at
I
the
see
zoo.
where this is going already.
He's like, it's a, don't worry, sweetie. 5-second rule, and he eats the egg, and it gives him like a virus or a bacteria. And the whole movie is about the detective, the white blood cell, Osmosis
What
Jones,
the fuck?
teaming up because he gets
Oof.
sick and he takes a pill, and it's
yeah, that's
a Draxanol or some shit, and that's Drix.
that's rough.
And Drix is his partner, the pill, the outside partner. He's like, I don't need this fucking partner with me. It's like, it's not up to you, Ozzy. This came from above. This is,
What the
you
fuck
know,
is this movie? When was it made?
early 2000s.
Damn.
Can't
How come
believe you never heard
I
of
don't
it.
know. How come I never heard about this movie?
I don't know. We'll watch the trailer.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Sounds kind of ridiculous.
But anyway, we're about at that time, and I just want to thank everyone who watched.